Hey, Bayek, it's me, Ian. And today I'm going to talk about this film. It is Vampire Circus from 1972. The first thing I've got to say about this film is um, if you look at it in the context of all Hammer films, I don't think there's anything quite like this. Yes, it has got the sort of gothic feel that we get because it's set in 1825, but it is a very different in tone because it's this period where things are changing and the whole team is changing as well behind the camera. Hammer is looking again to change its direction. And therefore, this film has a lot of elements that are very interesting. And it comes together in a brilliant way. It's even quite surprising in many ways what the film that we get. The tone is very different in many ways. And there's a lot of factors involved in that which make this unique. And I think I'm going to put my head on the line here. It makes it one of the really great films about vampires as well, not just in the Hammer canons of films. No way, no way. I think this stands up against a lot of great vampire films. Yeah, I know about the production of this film and some of the background to it, which certainly has an effect on the film. But the film is so good, it really does stand up well against a lot of vampire films. And I would happily watch this as much as those classic vampire films. Yes, yeah, definitely. That are to come later. You know, I know people will look at, I don't know, something like Fright Night or Interview with a Vampire, these kind of films, and say, look at these films. I say, yeah, but look at this. Look at this. And The Hunger is one of my favorite vampire films. And I would happily enjoy, I do enjoy The Hunger a lot. But I would happily put this with it. Yep, I think this is that good. I do. Right. Before I start going on and on, let's get into it. Right. It's 87 minutes long. Not very long. It's 80% on Rotten Tomatoes, which I think reflects quite well. At the time, a lot of the critics weren't that keen on aspects of this. They didn't see the bigger picture, or they just, usual. It's another Hammer film, blah blah. The usual sort of thing. Um, um, it was filmed at Pinewood Studios again, and it had the usual. Had to be filmed in 6 weeks. That was it. That's how it was. Now we had producers behind it. One of them was just not Michael Carreras, but was Wilbur Stark, and he added quite a new outlook to it. Incidentally, he's the father of Koo Stark. Now, Koo Stark was kind of an actress who got a reputation of a bit sort of soft porn sort of thing, but also if going way back went out with what's his name? Prince Andrew. Well, we'd better not talk about him. Anyhow, but Wilbur Stark was involved, and he brought a different approach. I think, as we see in the film. The screenplay was by Judson Kinberg, and he was basically given this title, which Hammer paid £1,000 for, and that was it. He had to write the idea. He developed the idea from that title, which he did, and rather well as well. He does a lot of good work, I think, on this script, because he really brings out a lot of really interesting aspects, and it works well. And then, of course, to put all this into full, the full vision of what the film is, we have a director called Robert Young. Now, Robert Young, at this period of time, was more a sort of documentary kind of filmmaker. He was very much into visual filmmaking, and didn't have this Hammer background at all. In fact, he probably looked at some of the Hammer films, but when you look at it now, you see his approach is really good. He makes this film look really beautiful in a lot of places. There's an art house, even. Dare I say that? Art house feel. Oh, crikey. Hammer becomes art house. No, it's there. It's all there. You look at a lot of the visuals as well as visuals of that period of the 70s, even this and late 60s, 70s psychedelic stuff even. It's all in there, and it makes this film really interesting for that, and it works. It seems to work well. Anyway, I'll go into more about that as well. Later, he did a lot of television work, but one thing that stands out to me, and I've always thought about it in this way as well, from a visual sense, he was involved in Robin of Sherwood, a big TV series, which had a wonderful look about it. I remember it so well. It's something actually I should get at some time on Blu-ray. I think there might be a Blu-ray of it, but it was a great TV series. It had a wonderful mythology with it as well. But it was beautifully filmed. That's one of the things I remember when I saw it, was just how good it was. He was involved in this, so that's quite interesting. The cast, of course, is, well, they make a film in many ways, of course. Now, the leading actress in this film was Adrienne Corey. She played the Gypsy Woman. I looked at some of the films she'd been involved in, and two that stood out to me was 1971, Clockwork Orange. She was in A Clockwork Orange, which says enough what a film that is. And also she was in the Amicus, Vincent Price, Peter Cushing film, 1974, Madhouse. She was in Madhouse, yeah. So that's always good to look at that. Then we've got Lawrence Payne playing Professor Albert Muller. I looked at, he's got he's never sort of in big roles. He didn't look in that sense. In big career. But film that stood out for me, which film I've always been fascinated by, was the film Barabbas from 1961. This film that always stands out in my mind. I remember watching it a lot. It's a story about Barabbas, the one that the crowd called for in the execution of Christ. They had a choice of Jesus, and they chose Barabbas. And Anthony Quinn brilliantly plays Barabbas. And this guy was in that film from 1961. It's a classic film, it really is. Check it out sometime. I don't know much about it. I think there has been a release of Barabbas. Check it out sometime. Just stands in my mind now. Yeah, and then we've got a face that you recognise instantly. You just see his face and you know who it is. Thorley Walters. He plays Peter. He's like the mayor, the burgomaster. He's in charge of the area. He's in Dracula, Prince of Darkness, 1966. He's in Frankenstein Created Woman, which is a really good one, 1967. Also, Frankenstein Must Be Destroyed, 1969. He's in that. And his face pops up all over in British films of all that sort of period. But there he is, yeah. What great films to be involved in. Then we have Lynn Frederick playing Dora. Now, she was like an up and coming kind of star, if you want to call it that way. She was in Nicholas and Alexandra, which was very popular costume drama about the Tsars. Nicholas and Alexandra, that was from 1971. There's a period of this kind of film at that sort of time. And then she was also in, which was almost like a standard British film at the time, the historical films. She was in the Henry VIII and His Six Wives, 1972. It was a massive hit, that was. And she played Catherine Howard. There you are. Then we've got John Mockler Brown playing Anton Kirsch. He was in The House That Screamed from 1969. You're going, yeah, that sounds familiar. Well, actually, it's a Spanish horror cult classic. He was in that. Yes, from 1969. The House That Screamed. Check it out. And then we've got Robert Tayman, who he plays the Count character. Count Mitterros, Mitterros. Yeah. He isn't really in this film a great deal, really. We see him be he's his shadow presence. You see, notice we've got away. They always have to have a Count as the sort of leader of the vampires, but they don't obviously we don't have a Dracula. We're trying to get away from Dracula. They're trying to say, so yes, it's this Count. He's a Count. Yes, he is. And then we've got a face I recognised instantly when I saw this. Lala Ward. She plays one of the twins. She's Elgar. Now, Elgar is important in the film, but Lara Ward is known, of course, Romana, and she was married to Tom Baker in real life as well. She's in the Fourth Doctor period, and she's, well, yeah, Romana. Yeah, the second Romana, of course. Yes, wonderful. I love a Doctor Who connection. Now, I'm always looking for other connections as well, but we've also got David Prowse again as the strongman. We've seen him in earlier films, particularly, and also later. I'm thinking of the Frankenstein and the Monster from Hell, where he plays the actual monster, which is fascinating, isn't it? You can't beat that. But of course, he's famous for playing Darth Vader. Yep, the Darth Vader character, big tall bloke, and there he is. There he is, a strong man. And he's quite important to the film, actually. He's in it, yeah. And then just the more sort of another connection I quite like is that Skip Martin plays Michael the dwarf character. Again, I was thinking, I'm sure I've seen that somewhere when he didn't see his makeup, and I found out that he's in one of my favourite films, Mask of the Red Death, 1963, Vincent Price film. He's the one that gets wronged and gets his revenge in that film. Yes, he's so there's a nice connection there. I like that. Really good. Yes, it's good to get connections. So I could. This is the core of the cast. I think there's a lot of good performances in this film, which all add up again to making it a great film. I think when you look at the film, you think nowadays some of these things, it's quite a dark film, really. There's a totally different tone to it. It's erotic, but not in the erotic sense, maybe like Lust for a Vampire and all that. there's not that sense. It's almost like a more dirty, a grimy eroticism. Uh, it's chilling as well. And also, it's disturbing because you've got children involved. It's something that nowadays wouldn't necessarily get the same kind of. I don't think they would film this nowadays in this way. It makes it even more disturbing, the vampirism. We have seen it in past vampire films, children and vampires. And in this film, definitely it's there. It's very chilling seeing this. And as I say, it's a dark film that obviously was going to have problems with the censors. And they did. But you know what Hammer was like? They were pushing in this period to get the X certificate. Whereas in America, they would have to cut all this out. There's no way America would show all this because it is very graphic and gory. It's one of the things you notice as soon as the film gets going, the blood, you see breasts and things, that which shock horror you wouldn't see before. But the thing is, when you see this, it's not a comfortable feeling, and that's what the film is trying to show. Evil is not. You see, there's always that evil is not always attractive. Sometimes Hammer has had this kind of thing where evil does seem attractive, and you get the evil leading man. But here, it's showing that evil is not always attractive at all. It's kind of something that you should not dabble in. You shouldn't be involved in, and you should stand up to it. Because the film, I haven't actually gone through about what the film is about. Well, the film is really, it starts where the villagers, or town village, I suppose you could say it's usually villages, confront this Count character who is basically grabbing all the locals and having his way and killing them, and on some turning into vampires. And like in all good Hammer films, like at the end often, but here we get in it at the beginning, you get the villagers attacking, they think killing, and getting rid of this, setting fires, always fire involved, and we've got all that. Again, it's done in a very interesting way, the way it's filmed as well, and yeah. But the punchline is this Count, as he's dying, when he gets his steak, he's saying that he's putting a curse on it and going back. So that their children and their children, there's a curse that they'll all get their revenge. Then we move forward in time, and the village, there's a plague going on. Now, this plague that is happening is somehow linked, they think, with the curse. And that's another interesting thing, that you get these plagues, and it's got this medieval feel, not the Gothic, the medieval feel about it. And as it happens, they happen to have a visiting circus, hence Vampire Circus. And of course, you soon realise that things are not right. This is not a happy circus at all. It's a circus that straight away is quite sinister. And this, of course, is that part of the revenge. It's going to be of the Count. They're going to help him get his revenge and even bring him back. Yes, the blood of all these people they're going to get. So that's how the film is revolving round. And the doctor goes away to try and get a cure for the plague. And we get that story, and then he's going to come back now. But that's how it starts. But it's interesting because circuses I'm very sinister, and I believe that myself. I've always loved horror with um, circuses involved. In fact, one of the very early horror films, Silent Period, 1919, Dr. Caligari's Cabinet, does involve that kind of traveling circus kind of thing. And it goes on. And of course, the most famous sort of one is Todd Browning's 1932 Freaks, which, again, is really sinister and creepy. What a great film that is. And it's still going on. You could look through lots of films that circuses and all that kind of background is very sinister and very evil. And clowns, of course. We could go into loads about clowns, and they're really creepy, aren't the clowns? And we get that in circuses. And they're still doing this, It's still, the clown is in, we've seen it in It. We've seen it in the Terrifiers films, which are very popular. But also, the background of the circus, I was thinking of American Horror Story, where one of the seasons, I don't know which season it is, could be about 4 or 5, which is based on the Freaks, takes place in a showground circus area, and that is, wow, it's one really sinister, one of a great story. Anyway, I'm going off. So the ideas of this are really good and interesting, because you think, wow, it's a really good use of that sinister element of circuses, and we see it. And of course, the way the direction is, it films it, it's just great. And the effects as well. You think these low budget effects are fantastic that they've done. They've done so well, so good. You sit there and think, wow, yes, fantastic. What a job this director has done on this film. It looks superb. It's interesting because Hammer, very strict, had to be filmed in 6 weeks. He wanted 3 more days. They wouldn't give him it. He wanted some more reshoots and some more adding on, but no, that was it. So the film had to be put together with what they had, and he hadn't finished the film. But there you are. But they've done such a good job. You don't want to be too picky or anything, but it seems to work so well. It's a great film. It really is. If you've not seen this, well, you should really see this. All Hammer films are great, and they are great, and this film is just outstanding. It stands out for more than just being a Hammer film, and I think that is interesting in itself. You don't need Peter Cushing or Sir Christopher Lee. Their names are not involved in this. And in a way, that has kind of helped a film like this. It's not tied up with the history of Hammer. Okay, you could say it, like a lot of them in this period, it became a failure to some extent. It didn't do enough to save Hammer, because Hammer wasn't brave enough in some ways to stick to doing more different things. It tried, but it didn't do enough, and that's why ultimately it failed to live up. It just couldn't do it, But this film is a real hidden gem, I think. It's interesting that on the extras on this, Joe Dante talks about it. Joe Dante is talking about this film. Excellent. Yes. So it is now so well respected and well seen. This is the 50th anniversary edition, which came out 2022, last year. It's got a slipcover, and it's got more special features on, and it's got the disc, wonderful disc, and it's got a little book as well, a little book booklet. This is, I think it was on the ITV label, linked with Rank organisation. Yeah, that was the old Rank organisation. But yeah, the ITV have brought this out, and it's a great edition. Absolutely love it. Highly recommend it. I think you can still get it. Yeah, let's still get this. But there we are. So I could go on, but I better not go on any longer. I was gone forever. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed me going on. Now, if you're new to this video, please subscribe, and if you're not, and you haven't, please subscribe, because then we'll let you know when I produce more of these rambling videos. And also, if you like it, please give it a like. It helps with, well, algorithms and all that sort of stuff. So you can't say better than that, can you? It's all cost note. And also, if you've got any comments, please put your comments down. I always love to read your comments, and I'll always answer all your comments. So all I've got to say is, I'll see thee again.